Whoa! Here we go, little fat boy jump jump, little cute fat boy jump jump. We're amazing, totally crazy, fat boy jump jump. Come on, everybody sing. We're gonna scream at the top of our lungs. We're gonna play and have that fun. We don't care if you start. I mean, look at our underwear. Brain freeze. Ba 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 ba.
So what you see here is footage of Mafia 3 on my game in PC. It was running at 1440p, and as we all know, it was locked at 30 frames per second. They're coming out with a patch, but I'm going to overall tell you guys how bad this port is and what I think of it the most about the game in general. Well, first of all, I have to say this is one of the most shittiest ports I've ever played on PC. And I know that old games way back in the day were bad ports because PCs weren't really meant to be gamed on. So if you had a PlayStation 2 or Nintendo 64 game that was put on PC, it was going to be the inferior version because of the fact we didn't really have gaming GPUs back then. We relied on old technology. And playing Mafia 3 on as its current state now on a high-end gaming PC, I'm going to say that it sort of feels like that right now. That they tested it on some old computer or some weak-ass computer. Because trust me, I know that there are people out there who have taken like a GTX, or not a GTX, a GT630, and just plopped that in there. Got a better, like a little bit better power supply, not something that's good, and just plopped it in there as well so they could run the game on low settings. That's pretty much what they probably tested it on when they tried to run Mafia 3, because you've seen it before. I had high settings except for anti-alias, because anti-alias is going to make it worse. I always turn anti-alias off. Believe it or not, in games like Just Cause 3, you turn anti-alias off, and then there's Far Cry. You turn anti-alias off on those too, like Far Cry 4, Far Cry Primal. You will notice that everything is sharp and crisp. And I don't know if that's a bad thing, and that's the reason why anti-alien exists, but I like it when it's sharp. It just looks much better and beautiful. I'm pretty much a quality whore, and I expect it to be sharp and crisp. But even if the graphics weren't as good, I would still want it to be a sharp resolution. Like with the PC port, it looks like sub 720p or something. Like when I was looking at this game when it first started, I was like, what the fuck? Maybe you'll get better at a different scene, but it never did. And I realized that it was at a lower resolution even though I set it on high because of how blurry it was. The graphics weren't too shit, it was the resolution. I mean, don't get me wrong, the graphics don't look anything like GTA 5, but the graphics weren't the problem. Turning anti-alias on low will help, but right now us PC gamers, even if we do set it on high, we're stuck with some fucking sub 720p with low settings stuck. That ain't no high settings. I know it's not no high settings because I seen PS4 footage and that looked way better than what I'm playing at right now. And despite the 30 frames per second, yeah, it dips below that at some scenes. Like when I'm shooting, I seen it go to 15 frames per second, and one time it went to 1 frame per second, but that was only like 5 seconds, so it didn't really last that long. But just horrible pauses and stutters like that is what happens, and then it goes back up to like 30 frames. But when you're gaming on PC, 30 frames sucks because you can't really aim that fast and accurate. It just feels like input lag, so you got to sort of be slow paced when you move it and stuff. It just doesn't work on PC. You know, I don't know what the fuck, 2K Central was planning, or Hangar 13. I don't give a fuck who goddamn made it, but I bet what they were thinking was, oh, we're just going to take this console port, or maybe they were building the PC port, but they weren't ready to put the advanced settings, so they left it at 720p in low settings, and they said, we're going to announce to PC gamers that it's locked at 30 frames per second, but they probably won't notice that it's sub 720p on low settings. They won't notice. That's probably what the fuck they were thinking, and surprise, we all noticed it. I know it because it's fucking blurry as hell. Like, this footage what you see right here is not compression. I mean, some of it might be, but yeah, this game looks like a fucking PS2 game. Not a PS2 game. It looks like a PS3 game, like the Saints Row 2 version of PS3, and we all know like that looked fucking horrible. There was a lot of games on PS3 that looked horrible, like Red Dead Redemption. But that's pretty much what Mafia 3 looks like. If there was some upsides to it, which I'm still going to keep the game because there's a patch coming out, and even if there isn't a patch coming out for the graphics, I know there will be modders that will let us download a graphics mod, and it will be way better than what we have now. So I'm putting my faith in the modders for this one. But okay, so let's look at the good sides of this. The one good thing I seen about this was the fact that I could just go into a store, and when the cash register person goes all the way in the back to check his stuff out, you could just go behind that cash register and rob the fucking place. I did that like a lot of times. I went into their way to the guy went into the back and just rob it. And you have health kits there too. You have you have the little tape things, those green things that look like horseshoes. You got to collect those so you can hack into like satellite things. It's hard to explain. You just got to hack into it and listen on people that you're spying to. It's sort of confusing unless you watch the gameplay yourself. But you also get porno mags, which are completely useless because you could actually go on Google, search in pussy, and then that's the first thing you'll see is a real girl's vagina. So I guess, I don't know, it's just an idea of what old porn used to look like, because they didn't have the internet, so they had to fucking order magazines. And then you also got, I think that's it, the magazines, and then you can find cash, but you can also pull cash off of people's dead bodies, so I don't really know if that's a rare collectible that you need. But after the collectibles, there's interiors. That's the one thing I wanted in the games. Like GTA is more interiors to go into, and you can do that. There's a lot of stores from what I've seen. You can go into a lot of buildings. So I don't know if the map's short. The map might be small, but it pays off if I get to go into all those fucking buildings that right next to each other and stuff. And even if they are sort of a copy and paste, I still appreciate it. But then again, here's where the negative stuff comes in. You don't have Europa ragdoll physics like GTA 5, and that really comes in handy because when you shoot at someone and they just sit still, you don't know if they're laying on the ground wounded or if they're dead or not. And I had this happen where I shot a guy and he fell down and he was sitting behind a crate. His body wasn't like limped over, he was just sitting up. So I thought the fucker was ducking and covering. I was just shooting at his head and I was like, what the fuck? And I was just shooting at him, but he wouldn't fall down. Because, you know, in games these days, you shoot someone's body and they're sitting up, you expect them to fall down. He wasn't doing that, so I walked up close to him, I'm like, oh, he's dead. And the red reticule is not there either. You know, like GTA, normally when you put the dot over someone, it turns red to show they're still alive. And then when you kill them, like a flash and an X will show up. Doesn't indicate anything like that either. So you got to kind of guess that they're dead if they fall on the floor and they don't move. And like I said before, little things like that are what I appreciate in GTA 5, because GTA 5 you could change the little crosshair to a dot, or it could be an X, whatever one you want. I know I had different crosshairs for different weapons, but the point is you could change it. Mafia 3, I had to be stuck with a big circle, and if you put that circle on someone, it doesn't turn red. So I don't know if I'm actually aiming at the head or not, and then when I end up shooting, sometimes I miss the head because the fucking circle's bigger than the head. So yeah, the aiming and stuff needs work, the graphics need work, and little things like that. But so far I actually enjoyed the little activities and things you could do, like the collectibles. I know this might sound weird to others, but this game almost feels like Saints Row. It reminds me of Saints Row 4 or Saints Row 3. Just the way the gameplay is. I don't know about the shooting. I wouldn't say that. I'd say the shooting is almost like Just Cause 3 or something similar to that. But like I said, it reminds me of Saints Row 4 because it sort of has that feeling to it. And sometimes, like, the protagonists, the way the protagonists act in this game, Lincoln reminds me a lot of the protagonists in Saints Row 4, the way they would act. But that's pretty much all I got to say about it. Terrible fucking PC port, locked at 30 frames per second, sub 720p textures. I don't know what fucking drugs 2K was taking, but shit, they left the game low resolution and just ported it like that. Look at the Steam reviews. People fucking hate it, especially the 30 frames per second. For me, yeah, 30 frames per second sucks, especially when it dips down to 15 or 20 randomly. But the resolution is what matters to me because it's fucking awful. And if they can make the resolution higher, the graphics might not be good right now. But who gives a fuck, because we're just gonna mod that shit up to HD textures anyways, make it look realistic like GTA 5, so in the end it'll all work out, and I won't return the game for that. But they should have never done this, because they basically fucked up and now they're getting negative reviews, like Arkham Knight. I don't know why they couldn't just release it a good game, and then not as much shit would have been talked about. But oh, this is gonna spread. This is gonna be forever known now. So, lesson to be learned: make sure the PC ports work, because I'm awfully sad that I spent around $1,400 for my prototype PC. Has a GTX 980 in there, an Intel quad-core i5 processor, 4690K, and 8 gigs of RAM. A lot of beefy stuff in there, and I had to fucking play at 720p and 30 frames per second. Wow. Anyways, I'm out.
He's here. You gonna get yours. This here's the last day of your miserable life.